honorable members, this one is on you. We are here today because of your efforts, and we are here today because of your wisdom. And for that, I want to thank you so much that we are on the last day of our proceedings. Advocate Arendse, are there any remarks that you will want to make?
About the happy time we've had together. Sure.
No, that will come later. I mean, now with the proceedings. You must also prepare yourself to come and say something. You will be the first, in fact, to say something.
I'll first have to consult with my biblical leader on my far right.
Preparing you to know.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, honourable members. Today we do indeed have General Nkwenazi here, who also happened to be our first witness, our last witness. As we had discussed, and I think the Honourable Committee had accepted, that we will not prepare a further or additional or supplementary affidavit, given that there's a lot of moving parts, as it were, in this whole saga, if I may call it that. Hardly would we have opposed to an affidavit, signed it when something else cropped up. So even today, we have an exhibit bundle of some exhibits that have come in pretty late. So, Honourable Chair, we are going to request you to swear in General Nkwenazi as a witness, and then we will, as far as possible, of course, try and lead his evidence in accordance with a memorandum which we have prepared and made available to the Honourable Committee, a list of questions and themes that we intend to deal with arising or relating to developments that have taken place after General Nkwenazi testified and matters that have come to his knowledge since then. The documents have now been printed and are before the Honourable Committee. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Honourable Sols.
Chairperson, given that it's our last day and it's our main witness, will we be reverting back to the model of time that we used at the beginning, where the responses of the witness does not eat in our time, so that we spend enough time and not rush it?
What I will do is I will allocate you 30 minutes, and in case you still have questions or matters you want to raise with the witness, I will allow that to happen. Yeah. So I will get indication from the speakers after their 30 minutes has expired, how much more time they would need. Yeah. But we will do that without prejudicing on others. Because I know we will always want to use the first speaker as a measure. We can agree, Honourable Sols, from the onset that we will allocate 30 minutes. And if the Honourable member has to go beyond 30 minutes, it must not be above 45 minutes. I think that will be fair. Is that agreeable to Honourable members? Honourable Skosan.
I second that, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. General, good morning once again and welcome. We must administer oaths, and the remarks that I'm going to make is just to remind you, because these are the remarks that we made when we saw you in previously, that this ad hoc committee is investigating the allegations that were made by yourself, General Tantla Mkhwanazi, and that the information you give us here will help us in our oversight and investigative work. The allegations include, amongst others, the alleged unlawful disbandment of the PKTT, the Political Killings Task Team, otherwise known as the PKTT or NPKTT. Number two, the alleged moratorium on the filling of vacancies within the South African Police Services, the SAPS. And number three, alleged corrupt relationship between members of the public and senior leadership of the SAPS, and lastly, alleged political interference within the work of the SAPS. And we have also, we also want to remind you that the evidence or the statement that you make here and the oath that you take here is in terms of an Act of Parliament of 2004, which we call the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act. And further, that you are reminded that by law, you are required to answer fully and satisfactorily any question lawfully put to you, or to produce any document that you are required to do so in connection with the subject matter of the inquiry, notwithstanding the fact that the answer or the document could incriminate you or expose you to criminal or civil proceedings or even damages. General, be reminded that you are, however, protected in that evidence given under oath or affirmation before a House or a Committee of Parliament may not be used against you in any court or place outside Parliament, except in criminal proceedings concerning a charge of perjury or a charge relating to the evidence or documents required in these proceedings. And once again, please be reminded that in terms of Section 17, subsection 2 of the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act, a person who willfully furnishes a House or a committee with information or makes a statement before it, which is false or misleading, commit an offense and is liable to a fine or to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 2 years. You are required to take an oath or affirm that the evidence you are about to give is truthful. Which one do you elect?
I'll take an oath, sir.
You have elected to take an oath. May you please follow me as I dictate this. May you please say aye and state your names in full.
I, Nhlanhla Sibusiso Mkhwanazi,
Swear that the evidence I shall give
swear that the evidence I shall give
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
And so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you so much. You are sworn in, and I'm going to plead with you to stay with us until we release you from your oath. I'm saying this statement because by now we have human experience of witnesses that may stand up during the proceedings and release themselves. So I'm pleading with you to stay with us until we release you.
Thank you, sir. May I also plead that perhaps we should be mindful of the time seated there for health reason. I don't think it's good enough for individual to be seated in one chair for more than 2 hours.
Yeah, we
there
will
might need to be some consideration of
we
that.
will give you convenience breaks.
Thank you, sir.
Today is the last day of our proceedings. Before I hand over to to Advocate Arensa. I just want to hear from you, General Mkwanas. Before we start with evidence, is there anything that you want to say regarding this proceeding since we started with you from that day until how do you feel if I was going to ask that question?
Yeah, no, thanks. I'm not a parliamentarian, so I will not necessarily, maybe it might be wrong for me to judge the proceedings, but indeed, Chair, I've been observing, being worried at times on the posture and the attitude that I see on some of the members in parliament that seems to prejudge things. My understanding is that the committee's job is to listen to evidence, probe, but not make conclusion on their own that certain things are wrong or certain individuals are wrong. So it is that which was a bit of a concern to me, because if you recall back onto the clips of those sittings, you will have found such instances. But other than that, I think it's been encouraging to see Parliament, especially this ad hoc committee, to work these long hours. And I must take my hat off from the committee members, because at times you'll go to the gym and you come back and you are still sitting, and you fall asleep, you wake up and you're still sitting. And I thought, yeah, no, never seen Parliament work this hard. And I'm sure South Africans are quite happy about that. I am pleased with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Advocate Arensa, how much time would you need?
Honorable Chair, yesterday we underestimated, and I think we required a further hour or so after we said from 10 to 1. We're making a bit of a late start also. It's almost 10:30. Assuming you take the lunch break at 1 and you take a full hour, then we would say 3:30, 4 o'clock.
What are you suggesting?
That we be given until between 3:30 and 4 o'clock.
Until 3:30.
Yes, Chair. If we shorten the lunch break, perhaps.
No, what we should do is that we will break at 1:30. So you will have 3 hours between now and 1:30. And then come back at 2. And when we come back at 2, we can only afford to run until 3.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. But we can't go to 4. Honorable Nomvalo.
No, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I'm not being inconsiderate, but I just want to make a kind plea to the Senior Council. We also have an interest on issues to be raised by the witness before us, and the evidence to be tested is very vast, because there are many people who came after General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and some discredited his evidence, some corroborated with his evidence. So there are many issues which we have noted. So I want to appeal to the Senior Council and his team that they should not treat today's proceedings similarly to other proceedings that were held before. May they allow members more time, because there's a lot of us, Chair, and we're only given 30 minutes and they get hours. So I believe that amongst themselves, they can collectively agree on how they can best summarize their session. So that is my kind plea, Chair, that at least we give them between now and 1:30. And then when we come back, we give an opportunity to members. It's a kind plea. Thank you very much.
Okay. There is the proposal there. What is the take of Honorable Sangoni on that proposal?
Thank you so much, Chair. Chair, our attitude has always been that we shouldn't make the issue relating to time to reign supreme, whilst actually compromising the quality of the work that we ought to do. So our proposal would be that let's run until 1:30. Then at 1:30, we then gauge how far they have gone. But I think they've listened to the plea from members that at least they must be able to squeeze themselves in. Then at 1:30 or at 2:00 when we come back, we can gauge how much time then we'll allocate them further from 2 p.m. Thank you, Chair.
The DA. Honorable Breitenbach.
We have no objection to the proposal, Chair.
The EFF.
Agreed to the proposal, Chair.
The PA. Honorable Sols.
Chair, already we as members are seeking more time. And I think it is not correct for the evidence leaders to have the posture that they have ample time. So if we are expected to be disciplined and manage our time, the same should apply to the evidence leader. My position is they have until lunchtime and not until 3 or 4.
Okay.
Lunchtime, we come back and then we start. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Vessels.
Thank you, Chairperson. Agree with the proposal. Let's not waste further time. Let's continue.
Okay. Honorable James.
We agree with the proposal. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Advocate Aaron said the overwhelming feeling is that let's do everything until 1:30. So I'm going to restrict my members not to interject you so that you are able to trot until that time. Thank you so much. Good luck to you and General Mkwanas.
Thank you, Chair. General Mkwanazi, since you were last here, we asked you whether there was anything that you may have neglected to say or couldn't say or did say that you may wish to address before we commence proceedings today. And one of those issues related to an allegation you made that money was paid by Mr. Matlala to Minister Cele. Do you recall that evidence that you gave here when you first appeared?
That's correct, Chair.
Yeah. And you will also recall that immediately after, I think it was during the course of General Cele's evidence, you contacted me and you indicated that you wanted to make a correction and you apologized and conveyed that to the committee. You recall that?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay. Now you have deposed to an affidavit where you do indeed retract that allegation, and you give an explanation why you have done so. Honorable Chair, if I may just hand up the affidavit. Have we got the original somewhere? I think an electronic copy. Okay. The original copies with parliamentary staff, and I think the electronic copy has been. Sorry. has been uploaded. So, General, perhaps if you have a copy in front of you, or you can perhaps just discuss it fairly briefly, if possible.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. I had made a contact with the senior counsel just before Gerald Cele was led into his testimony last year, and I retracted something that I had responded to one of the members that had asked me a question with regard to the communication between General Cele as well as Usmut Matlala. Honorable Chair, subsequent to that, I deposed of an affidavit which I think came to Parliament dated the 24th of October, where I was it 24 October, if I'm not mistaken. No, yes, 24 October 2025. I think there's a typing error here on my statements at paragraph 5, because it says 24. I think I've made it an error, but it was 2025 when I submitted that statement. Honorable Chair, I am trying to explain on this explanatory witness statement that I've presented to Parliament today, that when I appeared here in my founding affidavit that I presented before this ETO committee, I made it clear in that affidavit that the information that I was presenting before the ETO committee, it is information that I had obtained through documents that I would have perused and the people that had shared information. And what I was presenting was a collective effort of the men and women out there that are finding it challenging for them to carry out their task. So at no stage I had claimed that everything that I presented was solely from me. So it's information that will be provided to me by colleagues that are working on things. As I'm sure everyone knows that I am stationed in KwaZulu-Natal, and the majority of the things that brings us here, and I must applaud Honorable James when I listened to her yesterday, drawing our attention from PKTT to the real problem, which is drug issues that is happening in Gauteng. That majority of what we were raising on the 6th of July was in relation to the activities that we're seeing happening in Gauteng province. So therefore, the members that were working close with that have got different expertise, Honorable Chair. And as I was presenting and preparing the statement, I will obtain information from them. Some of them are analysts that will be providing information, and information that brought us to come together so that we can discuss this. Honorable Chair, in my statement, without going through it verbatim on every paragraph, I want to draw your attention especially to paragraph 7 or paragraph 6, maybe let me start there, and I'm going to read it into record, if you permit me. On paragraph 7, on this explanatory witness statement, I'm explaining that in preparation of my evidence before the committee, I relied on information provided by the analyst in relation to the cell phone data of Mr. Matlala's phones. The analyst that worked on this was Miss Notlantla Ketsekile, who is a lieutenant colonel in the South African Police Service. She's the one that conducted the analysis of the data from the 2 mobile phones of Mr. Matlala. Colonel Ketsekile subsequently deposed to a statement wherein she explains how the error occurred. And the statement, I'm sure the members have, the statement that she deposed. She says, during the execution of her duties, she was, of course, in the presence of myself and other colleagues, who include the generals that are working on this case, where there was a projection of the data downloads of the cell phones of Mr. Ket Matlala. The 2 cell phones where the information came from Mr. Matlala was an iPhone 16 as well as iPhone 15. And it was discovered during these downloads that there were communications on cell phone numbers of General Cele, and General Cele's numbers were saved on these phones. And the numbers are reflected on my statement at paragraph 7.2.1 and 7.2.2. As you can see, these numbers were saved with particular names, Ndosi and Cele. For those who does not know, Ndosi is a clan name of Cele. So you'll assume that when a person talks about Cele or Ndosi, he talks about the same person. The analyst then explained that in the very same phone, there were also chats that were coming from a different number, which is reflected on paragraph 7.3. And this communication that is dated the 27th of December 2024, it was a communication between Vusmus Matlala and the person on this number that he had saved as Babndos. So right at the onset, you'll assume that Babndosi might be a Cele person, not necessarily General Cele, but might be a Cele person because it's a clan name. But where the error happened, and honorable members must see there on record, and we are reflecting that especially on paragraph 7.5 of the statement. The number that is reflected on paragraph 5.2.1 above, which reads 072-207-3518. That is the number of General Cele. And the number that was communicating on text with Ket Matlala that was saved in Ket Matlala's phone and saved as Babndosi, or the address that Matlala uses, the number reads 072-204-3518. So on the glance, as the members can see, the two numbers are almost similar with a difference of only one digit, right in the middle. That's one digit that differentiates between the two numbers. The system that an analysis notebook that the analyst was using in punching the numbers and tracing the communication, I think the system drew a different number because of this confusion in the middle. Now, the analyst does submit a statement, or she has submitted a statement, both before this committee as well as on a criminal investigation that has been investigated by IPIT as a result of a case of perjury that Mr. Adams, the honorable member of this parliament, have opened as a result of that error. So she did submit, which we will have to account for on the criminal investigation. But she did submit her statement to explain how this error occurred. So we were upfront to withdraw that statements made. We've put in a statement supplementary in that regard, and we are here today to submit an explanatory statement on how this error between these two numbers occurred. Honorable Chair and members, we also believe that the very same Vusmus Matlala made the same error. He might have been under impression that he's communicating to someone else, Ndosi, Babndosi, that he addresses as Babndosi himself. Why do we say that? We say this because, Honorable Chair and members, the owner of the number that the mistake happened resides in Mpumalanga. His name is here. I'm not going to read it for privacy, but the members is reflected on the statement. The owner of this phone number has given us a statement as well, where he explains that he received a number of messages, WhatsApp messages with bank records, statements that he did not understand what was it about. There were a lot of them. And he then responded to try and get a conversation from the person who's sending him these documents. He sends him a message, he said, hey, and then the person responded. And next thing, there was an exchange of a bank account because it seems like Ed Matlala needed to put money, give money to this person. And this person gave him capital account. And this Ed Matlala deposited the money into this account. And this man was appreciative, he's unemployed, and he said he took some of this money, gave it to his girlfriend. And he wanted more money because he doesn't know who's this person that is donating the money to him that he does not know. It is then when Vusmus Matlala realized that looks like he's talking to a wrong person. And Vusmus Matlala says on the WhatsApp message, who are you? So he's asking this guy that he has already given the money to, says, who are you? And this person explained, no, I'm so and so. So immediately after that, Matlala deleted all the messages that he had sent. He retracted all those messages from his phone. So a statement from that owner of that cell phone is here. The downloads from Matlala's phone does show those messages that the members is, or that the witness is talking about that were sent by Matlala to him. And they are reflected, attached to the statement, at the back of the statement, that the members will be able to see them. Right at the back, there's quite a lot of messages that Matlala had sent to this guy, and he later deleted all of it. So we believe that Matlala made the same error, Chair, that we also made, simply because the number between this gentleman and Cele differs with only one digit. I think it's digit number 6. The other one has got 4, and the other one has got 7. The rest of the other numbers, they are exactly the same. So that is what we are submitting, Chair. It was not an intention for us to mislead this committee. It was an error that was made when the analysis team extracted information, which was discovered by the very same team when the investigation was conducted further. And when we established that, no, this is not the real person. And that's why we withdrew the statements that we made, which we had right at onset indicated that what we are sharing, it's any collective information that come from different colleagues in the service. So that's my submission, Chair.
Thank you, General. But you do confirm that Minister Cele's number is or was on Mr. Matlala's phone?
Yes, we do confirm that there's communication between Minister Cele, or the former Minister Cele, Gerald Cele, and Vusmus Matlala. The only thing that we're withdrawing, it is the WhatsApp communication, and subsequent to that, a bank account and the proof of payment. And we had said, if I may add, Chair, that in our response here, we did say that there was a communication between the General and Matlala. But subsequent to that, there was a bank account that was shared, and the bank account belonged to a third person. And there was money that was moved into that bank account of that third person. And we were to investigate whether that third person is not associated to Gerald Cele. That's what we said on record. So it is that investigation that revealed that actually those two are not related.
So the person who actually did get the money just thought that Christmas came early. He was getting a gift from some unknown person.
Yeah, well,
not connected at all to Kat Matlala or to former Minister Cele.
Indeed, he does tell us that he enjoyed that money and he shared it with his girlfriend.
Is there any connection to the Ndosi number? And because you say Ndosi is a clan name for Cele.
It is Kat himself that addresses him as Bamdosi. So that's why we believe that he saved this, and this person has got no relationship with Cele clan. He goes with a different surname. Without disclosing the details of the person, maybe I can indicate his surname. His surname is Mhlanga. So he's nowhere closer to the clan of Cele.
Now, apart from what on your evidence appears to be a genuine mistake, what made you believe in the first place that Matlala would have sent money to former Minister Cele in this fashion?
Honorable Chair, the investigation team, as they were interacting, and we get to see the communication between General Cele and Matlala and the relationship that is between the two of them. It is that what became suspicious as to, but why would General Cele associate himself with this person? And further colleagues that we're talking to, of which some of them I spoke about, and we're going to discuss it later today. A colleague of mine who's the head of human resource management in the South African Police Service, that is Lieutenant General Hua, who had indicated to me that General Cele was adamant to want to see him in order to discuss the contract that Matlala had in the police because there were no orders coming. She said to me that this was after the Durban engagement with Matlala when I spoke to her. And she said to me, General Cele was even so adamant that he wanted to travel to Velkom when she was in Velkom to come and meet with her. So it is that made us to realize that there was that effort from General Cele to make sure that Matlala is assisted to some degree. And of course, the generals going to the accommodation of Matlala in Pretoria, which has already been presented here, that is known. So those are some of the things that made us to feel that there is something that is questionable relationship between the two of them. So when the analyst then starts seeing this conversation, and on the glance, she can come and demonstrate how the system dropped this information that appears to be the General Cele that WhatsApp, the error occurred. We had no reason but to believe that there is something to be investigated between the two. And considering the fact that this contract, when it was awarded, we are not saying that there was any role that the general played, but when this contract of Matlala was awarded, Minister Mkhunu was not in, when the process started, Minister Mkhunu was not in the organization at the time. General Cele was the executive authority at the time.
So at least on the face of it, there appeared to be some connection, and so when you miss one digit on two numbers that look almost exactly the same, there's no reason to think that it was done maliciously or with some ulterior motive.
No, definitely there was no ill intention.
Yeah.
That's why we withdrew and made an apology upfront.
Now the one person whose name does feature prominently in the WhatsApp exchanges between Mr. Matlala and Mr. Mkhotsi is Minister Mkhunu. And Minister Mkhunu had handed up an affidavit that was deposed to by Mr. Matlala, where he says words to the effect that there's no relationship, no connection. I forget the exact wording now, but something to that effect. We'll find the affidavit and read it back to you. But words to that effect. Now, you had subsequently also been handed some information which indicates that may not have been the case. The impression is created by the affidavit handed up by Minister Mkhunu that Matlala almost volunteered to give that information and deposed to an affidavit while he was at Kgosi Mapuru. Now, you have made available to us, which I will ask that they flight a handwritten letter it is in the pack, so honorable chair, honorable members, you can see it yourself. It seems to be addressed to Nhlamulo, NHLUMULO -FYI for your attention or for your information, and it's a handwritten letter. Perhaps first just explain how you got this letter into your possession, and whether you know who this person is who wrote the letter, who allegedly wrote the letter? Have you verified the contents of this letter? Have you sought to authenticate the letter? Just give us some background to this letter before we go to the relevant parts, please.
Thank you so much, Chair. Honorable Chair, a cousin of mine stays in Johannesburg and she works in Johannesburg as well. She called me and told me that there is an information of someone in prison in Pretoria that wanted to see me and share information with me. But of course, I was in Devon and I could not just be in Pretoria, but I indicated to her that I'm going to be on my way to Pretoria. So if there's something that you want to share, I can meet up with you somewhere, collect whatever that you have collected and come and give it to me. And we made that arrangement. I traveled to Johannesburg and I met with her at, I think, Woodmead, if I'm not mistaken. And she gave me a handwritten document. And she gave me a bit of a background as to where does this handwritten document come from. So I took that and I was on my way to the Interpol conference in Morocco. I then thought I was going to be able to take time and read it and get to see whether what is written there can be of any assistance to anyone. So that's a background of how I got the letter. When I asked her how she received it herself, she said to me she got it from a gentleman who went to fetch this letter from prison, from a person who wrote it in prison. As you can see, the letter is not addressed to me. It's addressed to someone who I don't even know who the person is. I had to make an inquiry as to who is Ntlamulo. And my cousin had explained to me that Ntlamulo is a member of MK Party. I don't know if he's a spokesperson or what title does he have. But the person that wrote the letter is a friend or is a person who grew up with Ntlamulo. So he knows Ntlamulo very well. And as a result, that person was addressing this to Ntlamulo. And apparently the intention was to ask Ntlamulo to bring it to me. But it is said that Ntlamulo was not available. I think he was in Cape Town. And if I'm not mistaken, Ntlamulo would have sent his father to go and meet up with this person. And that's how the father collected this information. And that information was passed to my cousin, and that's how it got to me. So the person wrote like this, and I confirmed her whether can I present this thing before the committee, and he said, yeah, he's willing to testify. He's currently in one of the correctional centers in Gauteng, but no longer in Khosimapuru. And he had even put his name right at the bottom, because I thought we could redact the name in order to protect him. And he said, no, he doesn't mind. He can tell it as is. So that's why we have it here before us.
Sorry, and this is a convicted prisoner.
I'm not sure of his status, but what I read from here, he said he's been in that, I think, in custody for more than 3 years. So whether he's convicted or not, I've never investigated.
Waiting trial for 3 years is a bit long.
There are a lot of people that can be waiting trials for many years in our facilities.
Like in the Senzo Moyewa. But so his name appears to be Jermaine Prim. It's right at the end of this letter, just above the digit 8, Jermaine Prim.
Yeah, right at the end is written Jermaine Prim, and he signed it.
Yeah. Now, this letter is Jermaine Prim, the author of this letter. Is he writing this letter on the basis of information that he is now getting from Busikat Matlala?
What I was informed is that this person was in the same correctional facility with Kat Matlala, and he interacted with Kat Matlala throughout the whole process. In a matter of fact, what the information I have is that it was just the two of them in the cell.
Now, you haven't verified this for yourself or through your investigating team or through any investigating team.
Yeah, well, no. I've shared this information with the team in Gauteng as they are investigating some other cases in Gauteng, but not necessarily me, myself, to get involved with that investigation.
Now, you agree that there are a lot of names in this letter?
According to what is written, this man, because I established as to how did he gather the information. Information I got is that Kat was telling him things, and he will take a pen and a paper and he will write these things down without Kat knowing at the time. So that's why I was worried about this coming out in public, that maybe his life will be in danger. And he said, no, he's no longer even in the same facilities, so he doesn't mind. We can make this public. What he writes here is stories that he was told by Kat inside that correctional center. But he also make his own remarks about his own issues here that has got other names. As I said, it's not something that has been investigated by me. I'm sure the team that gets to see this, they will interview him and try and get more information, because there are somewhere in this statement of his where he makes some allegations against some of our senior public figures of government. But that is in brief. I would say more than 90% of what is here, it's what is been told to him by Kat Matlala.
Now, what makes you believe that this letter or copy of this letter is authentic, and that is indeed what Jermaine records, what Kat is telling him? They obviously have a lot of time to do this sitting together in a cell the whole day.
Honorable Chair, the things that are mentioned here are matters that some of them I was not aware. One of them is I did not know how the minister obtained Kat's affidavit that he came to present here. I did not know that, and I never investigated, but it was presented before this ad hoc committee. Some of the things that are mentioned here include the meeting that myself and Kat had in Durban. It's mentioned in this letter because Kat told him that. So this person wrote the things that had not been made public, both in this ad hoc committee as well as at Matlala Commission. So it is there that made me believe afterwards that this person is legit on what he's talking about. The stories that he's putting out there from Kat, at least, might need to be considered and be investigated further, because we have already had some of these things that he's talking about. And this was before a lot of these things presented, and I think it's something that happened before even the minister came to testify, if I'm not mistaken. There's no date on the letter when he wrote it, but when I inquired, was that when the father of this Mtlamulo went to collect it, they gave it to me 2 days after collection of this document. So obviously need to be verified, some of these things, whether are there any facts on them or not. But it's stories that later, when testimonies are presented at the commission as well as here, they collaborate some of the information that is here. The issues of Ekurhuleni, amongst others.
So we need to be clear that this letter constitutes hearsay.
Yeah, it is indeed, until the author is tested on it. But from my side, as I said, I'm the third person that receives it. The person gave it to a gentleman, the gentleman gave it to my cousin brought it to me.
Sort of triple hearsay.
Yeah, part of why I'm giving it here is because he explains the how part of an affidavit that the minister brought before this committee, how it was obtained. And then the relationship, it seems, between himself and the minister, that seems to be in a way direct, not indirect as we presented, because all along we've been seeing Minister Mkhunu as communicating with Kat via other people like Mkhotsi and amongst others, but not a direct conversation.
Yeah, I want to go to that part only of the letter that is relevant to what you're saying. But well, obviously it's up to the honorable members if they want to ask you questions or examine you on any other part of the letter, but it just seems to me to be almost irresponsible also to refer to other aspects where a number of prominent personalities are mentioned in this letter. But as you rightly say, this all needs to be investigated, or is maybe the subject of investigation, we don't know. Now, the relevant paragraph is the one, honorable members, it's marked number digit 2, it's circled. I think it's still, yeah, it's still on page 1. Do you have it, General?
Yes, yes, I said.
This is this the part? On the 22nd of September, is that I received legal visit from my attorney, Natasha, somebody, or can you pronounce that surname? Oh, it's not. On arrival at the legal visit, I found Busi Matlala there. There were 2 white guys there to see him, in brackets, lawyers, close brackets. They handed him a paper to sign. He took it and signed it and handed it back. He did not even read through it. He then left and continued my legal visit. Upon arrival back at the section, I asked him who those lawyers are, because I know Oudis, and it was not him. It was also definitely not Nkwashu. He then told me that they are Senzo Mkunu's lawyers and that they asked him to sign a statement saying he doesn't know Mkunu. And then paragraph 3, when Busi Matlala arrived in CMAX in July 2025, he told me that he funded Senzo Mkunu's election campaign as Mkunu was campaigning to be the president of South Africa. He also said he gave him money for the ANC January, in brackets, I think January, and he's got 18, conference, which they have yearly. He said just for the January conference, he gave him over 4 million rand. I was shocked because I've been in CMAX for 3 years. We don't have radios, newspapers, or TV, so I didn't know all this was happening. He told me Senzo Mkunu is the Minister of Police. He also told me about his case and the police. We spoke daily. He said that he's friends with Cedric Shabia, who is head of investigations and detectives in SAPS. He went in depth and said that Shabia told him to open a case against Mkhunazi. He said Shabia gave him information of the special task force having kidnapped some lady who works at forensics and then seizing her computer. Shabia also told him that Mkhunazi is under investigation. He told me many other things about Shabia. Then paragraph 4, a few days after signing the statement, which Mkunu sent for Vusi, he told me that Mkunu sent a message to his wife explaining that he is happy, that Vusi must just sit tight, and in quotation marks, help is on the way, close quotation marks. Vusi said, he said, help, all in capital letters. So, General, is that the part that you wanted to highlight for the purposes of this discussion about Minister Mkunu?
Honorable Chair, in this 8-page statement has got too many things that are relevant to this committee. Too many beyond this one. These of the statement of Minister Mkunu doesn't start on paragraph 2, it starts from paragraph 1. The events that happened before the lawyers were spotted in prison. That's what I'm saying is something can be investigated. If the phone records and the visitors registers of these correctional services will be able to prove whether such visits happened, was this statement obtained from the prison, and so forth. This person is telling what Kat told him. But beyond this, Honorable Chair, this person talks about things that we did not talk about here. And one of them was the meeting between myself and Vusmus Matlala in Durban. It is here in the statement because Vusmus Matlala told him about it. That's why he makes a reference to it.
I wanted to get there after.
Yeah,
after
but
this.
what I'm saying, Chair, is that there's just too many other things that are here that might be relevant. There is Katiso Malife's issues here that this man is talking about. There are border issues here that are part of the letter of the minister. So there's drug issues that have been spoken about in this letter. So if we're going to only take one paragraph and exclude the others, we might miss something. It is something that
sorry,
I'm present.
General, just a correction. It's
Yeah.
not what I can't tell you what to testify to, what to say. This is a document you've presented to us.
Yes.
If you want to go through the entire document and discuss it, then feel free to do so.
Okay.
I was owning in just on the one aspect, which is the
letter, the statement
the statement
of the minister
that the minister had made to us under oath, and there appears to be some other version which is yes at this stage and which needs to be corroborated. But if there's anything else in the letter or the whole letter that you feel you want to discuss, then you must feel free to do that.
Okay. Yeah, no, well, SC, you've touched on the events that this person is talking about, what he saw with his own eyes inside the correctional service. But what also transpired is right at the beginning on the 9th of September on paragraph 1, which I will also want to invite you to first take that part. And so after reading that part, then you can be able to link up with number 2. And that first part, and I don't know if you want me to read it.
Okay, I'll read it. On the 9th or the 10th of September, there was a conference call between Shamila Batoy, Senzo Mkhunu, Lawrence Otis, Musi Matlala's advocate, SAPS General, which he didn't name.
It's just an issue about which September they're talking about in the statement, because it's not detailed to which year is that.
Chair, if I may respond to that. The statement is as it stands. So the person who's an author, that's why I'm saying that this needs to be investigated further, because the person who's an author that wrote it like this. So the years honorable member is asking is not written, and I cannot say it is which year. It is my assumption that this happened when Kat Matlala was in custody. So if it happened when he was in custody, it might mean September 2025. But I'm not an author. I cannot guarantee. I don't want Honorable James to go to prison, police station again and open a case against me.
Honorable James.
Sorry, Adams. Did I say James? My apologies, Honorable James. Honorable Adams, I meant to say. My apologies.
Allow me, Chair, because you said no earlier on. Apologies, I have a clarity seeking question. General Nasi,
Yes, ma'am.
did you profile, number one, you know what is concerning here? Did you profile Jermaine Prim? That is the first thing I want to ask you. Secondly, I'm thinking now if it's coincidence that all three these people, Kat Matlala, Bester, and Jermaine, are all allegedly in CMAX. So the only way that Jermaine can listen to conversations of Kat Matlala is if he's on a cell phone. How do you explain Mr. Matlala then having a cell phone in CMAX? That's my first concern. My second concern is that Tabu Bester is also in that same block in CMAX. We've now received correspondence from Bester, from Jermaine Prim, and we've heard from Mr. Matlala. I am worried. I have background, sure, without compromising myself for this. I think I'm going to leave it at they are in CMAX. Why do they have access to cell phones? I'm going to leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I'm not sure if I can maybe just make some comment, and maybe as a follow-up to what Honorable James is raising. I'm trying to find the actual paragraph here, but in this statement of this gentleman, this person alleges that Kat Matlala as freedom inside the CMAX. He is very close with the head of the facility. That's why he can get around and can get things done with ease. So it then explains that, and he says he was sharing a cell block with the two of them. They were together. Obviously, we found the cell phone thanks to the Commission of Correctional Services that dispatched in a suspicion after the address that something might be happening in that cell. So the commissioner phoned me to send people to go, he said he sent people to go to the cell and they found the phone. And luckily that phone has helped us with a lot of these things we investigated. How did the phone get to Kat inside the cell? It's again a question mark, but what this man is saying, the relationship that Kat has with the head of the center and some officials within that center, it's clear that Kat can get whatever he likes inside that place. I'm not going to explain part of the reasons why there was a motivation for him to move away from there, but that's part of the problems that has been experienced, which the head of correctional service, the commission, also identified. Thank you.
Thank you. General, just as a matter of information, perhaps, well, you would know. You know that Radovan Krecha was also there at Kgosi Mapuru. In fact, he may still have been there when the Honorable Committee had a sitting there. You know that or knew that? Radovan Krecha was also at Kgosi Mapuru.
No, I was not involved in Krecha. I know he was in custody, but I never pay attention until I get to know about the KZN leg of it.
I'm saying this because perhaps the author of the letter was mistaken, because the name of Miss Natasha, I think the spelling is Otrebski, Otrepski. She is Krecha's attorney. And he was also there, and that paragraph mentions her legal visit. Also claiming to be his attorney, the author, Jermaine's attorney.
Yeah, well, I think there's quite a lot of lawyers that are representing dodgy characters in our country. You just have to go in the system and check who is the lawyers ever appeared on behalf of both Kat, whether is it Jermaine guy, whether is it Thabo Bester, whether is I know controversial lawyer that has also been part of the AKA murder in KZN, which are controversial figures. But I'm not a legal person to say much about it. It's just an interesting thing to notice as a police.
So we went back to paragraph 1. It said on the 9th or the 10th of September, there was a conference call between Shamila Batoy, Senzo Mkhunu, Lawrence Odes, Vusi Matlala's advocate, and SAPS General, which he didn't name. Odes added victim Kwashu to the call. The reason for Odes adding Kwashu was for Kwashu to facilitate what was being discussed. The plan and reason for the call was to get Vusi Matlala to sign an affidavit that states he doesn't know Senzo Mkhunu. Apparently, Kwashu told him to first show good faith by granting Vusi bail. He then refused to take any part in it unless they signed or they granted Vusi bail. First, Vusi was quite angry that Kwashu refused to facilitate this. Vusi then explained to me that Odes and Shamila are good friends and that Shamila and Senzo Mkhunu are also very close. That is why Shamila Batoy is trying to help Senzo Mkhunu. Vusi also said that Andrea Johnson was also part of the discussion and that she's on board. I also know that there were people from IDEC at the prison to see Vusi on more than one occasion. He explained to me that the purpose of the visit was for him to help them discredit General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. He apparently said he was at Mkhwanazi's apartment in Umhlanga, and it's called the Pearls of, not sure what pearls of what. So General, that you say is also then, and it's something I wanted to come to, which is a matter that you also didn't tell us in your affidavit or in your oral evidence. Just to raise this, it was mentioned to us for the first time, the allegation of response. Yeah. This was stated in Mr. Matlala's affidavit at paragraph 126. Meeting with General Mkhwanazi. I met Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi at the Pearls. Is that the Pearls he's referring to in this handwritten letter?
Yeah, well, this is, I believe, what this gentleman had was told by Ket Matlala,
Yes.
even before the ad hoc committee went to hear from Ket Matlala himself.
Yeah.
That's why I have no reason to doubt some of the content that he wrote here.
So Matlala said, I met Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi at Pearls of Mhlanga on 15 April 2025. Minister Cele had arranged for me to meet him. This was the result of my interaction with Minister Cele regarding issues with my SAPS contract. Minister Cele advised me that he knew Lieutenant General Mkhua, but the person who was very close to her was Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. Before we proceeded to the meeting, I contacted Lieutenant General Sinona, who is also the head of the Hawks in KZN, as I was not comfortable to meet Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi alone. I first ran this by Minister Nkele, and he okayed it with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. The meeting was scheduled at the Pearls, and upon arrival, we met him outside. He told us to follow him, went up in an elevator to what I assumed was his apartment because he offered us drinks that were in the fridge. During the meeting, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi told me that he had heard I had problems with my contract, but he also has problems which he needed to assist him with. He acknowledged that I had been complaining a lot about my contract, saying that they weren't paying on time and not sending enough purchase orders. He then said to help my contract flow, I needed to cooperate because he was very close to Lieutenant General Nkua, the head of human resources who oversaw my contract. Lieutenant General Kwenazi essentially stated that Lieutenant General Kua is a stumbling block, quote unquote, and is collaborating with the previous service provider, Metropolitan. He even claimed that she had purchased properties, converted them into bed and breakfast, and used money from Metropolitan, suggesting corruption because her salary could not cover such purchases. Lieutenant General Kwenazi provided me with the address of her latest purchase, which was a house in Pretoria East. The message I got was clear. If I wanted my contract to proceed smoothly, I would need to, quote, work with her and give her money, unquote, or my contract would be terminated. He was indicating that police officers, even generals, could afford these things because they collaborated with service providers like myself. Lieutenant General Kwenazi indicated to me that he knew I owned a property in Midstream Estate. He further indicated that he had a problem with a person in the same estate and asked whether I knew a person by the name of Ishmael Nangi. I informed him that I knew this person, but I was close to him, but I knew my son and his son attended the same school and my wife and his wife knew each other. I informed him I would request my wife to set up a meeting with him. So the reason why I raise this is also, that's also one of the issues which you didn't raise before us when you first appeared, either in your affidavit or in your oral evidence. And so the question is, why didn't you do so? Do you dispute that such a meeting took place? We know from the evidence we heard, Mr. Matlala's evidence at Khosi Mapuru about this, and also General Senona's role in this. So this is also an opportunity for you to explain why you hadn't mentioned it in the first place, and what is your version of what happened there.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. When I appeared before this ad hoc committee, I was presenting in the main the incidents that are prohibiting the police from executing their duties, where we believe the minister has enabled these people to block the police stations. And of course, not the minister doing the bad things, but the people that are doing the bad things are police officers, and some of them within the entire value chain of justice system officials that are participating on this matter. The meeting of Kat Matlala, we did not see it as a need to present it because it was a meeting that was helping the investigation to uncover some truth about that which the team in Gauteng was investigating. So Kat Matlala, when he met with me in that meeting, he was afraid of the people that he was talking about. And he made it clear that what he's sharing with me in a straight language, you'll refer to as snitching to people. So he was giving out information that would have compromised his safety. So he was giving out information that if it were to come out, maybe his life and his family would be at risk. What I like, that's why we did not communicate. But what became evident to that is that the person who facilitated the meeting, Jairus Nona, when he appeared before Matlanga Commission, he was afraid to name those names. And when Kat appeared before this commission and introduced that meeting, I was not in the country. When I became aware of it, I then sent a WhatsApp message. I actually tried to phone Jairus Nona. He didn't answer the phone. When I sent him a message to outline what the meeting is about, the same message that after sending to Snona, I shared with yourself, Senior Counsel, on the...
Yes, we'll ask for that, if it's possible, we'll ask for that, those WhatsApp messages to be flighted. But continue in the meantime.
Perhaps what I can say then, Chair, is to, I've indicated why didn't I introduce that meeting, that I did not see the need of that meeting to be discussed before this commission, because this committee, because...
Sorry, General, to interrupt. The WhatsApp members, Chair, Yeah, and the letter from Sanona's attorney. So you can refer to it, General. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Chair, I still feel that Kat Matlala was used by people to try and paint a picture that as a person who looks like a bad person, but he also met with me. And as a result, people will start questioning my credibility. I did not disclose the meeting, and I'm glad that he is the one that introduced the meeting, because the people he spoke about are subject to the investigation by the GCI Ops in Gauteng. And I did not want to disclose it because I had made a commitment that I will not disclose any meeting that he is giving me as an informer. So that was the reason. But he introduced the meeting.
You didn't. This meeting was Lieutenant General Kumalo aware of this meeting, or that the meeting was going to take place, or did you already discuss with him as the investigating officer that this meeting would take place?
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Perhaps the members must give me time to listen to this story, because I don't want you to get it halfway. How does it happen that I get to meet Kat Matlala right at the beginning? And when the members are listening to this, you're going to tally with a sergeant that was sitting on this chair from Mpumalanga that was brought by Mr. James to this house to come and open a case in Cape Town, that allegations of kidnapping and torture.
Mr. Adams.
Oh. And I'm looking at you, Honorable James, but I'm saying the name again. I don't know. My apologies. It's the second time I'm doing this. I'll take the fine, ma'am. Sorry about that. Yeah, Honorable Adams, the sergeant that came here and said things. So I'm going to link all these things together so that you have a clear picture of everything. I work in KwaZulu-Natal as the head of the police in the province. I report to the National Commissioner. I'm assisted by the colleagues from the national units. One of the colleagues responsible for the national unit is Gerald Snona. Gerald Snona is responsible to DPCI. DPCI does not report to me. They are assisting KZN, but they have their own specific responsibilities. And another one that assisted me back then, I'm sad that Mr. Adams is not here today, because I wanted to talk to him. I'm sure he's watching the TV. Perhaps must look at the screen. The one person that assisted me is Major General Chika. Major General Chika was the head of crime intelligence in KwaZulu-Natal during the time of riots. He was the one that Honorable James should be blaming for the failure, if any. Adams to be blaming for the failures of intelligence, if any. It is General Chika, because he was the head of crime intelligence in KZN. So I have crime intelligence, which is a national entity. I have DPCI, which is a national entity. And then myself in the middle. So from time to time, we're going to be communicating with colleagues. As when Chika is going on retirement, I'm aware, I'm on his farewell, and I'm talking to the division to make sure that they fill up that post. The post that has since been vacant from that time to date has not been filled. But the National Commission told me that they are finalizing the process to get that post filled. That is 12 months down the line. We still don't have a head of intelligence. General Snona is a person who comes from Gauteng. He was appointed in KZN. So I interact with General Snona. But I had already heard of a name of General Snona even before coming to KZN. There is one former warrant officer, Malinga, who used to work at Organized Crime Pretoria, who still today is undergoing court because of issues that he and General Snona were involved with while they were working in Pretoria. I don't want to get into the details of that, but there's a case that is dragging forever that does not end. So that's how I got to know, because I knew Malinga, and Malinga will tell me about General Snona at the time. So that's how I got to know about Snona even before meeting him. But fast forward, I'm in KZN, General Snona is the head of DPCI in KZN. I will not remember, Honorable Chair and members, the exact date, but it will be 2 or 3 years back. General Snona approaches me, and one of the conversations we're having, he says to me, I'm thinking of resigning from the police. And I asked him, when you want to resign from the police, where do you want to go? He says, no, I'm going to join a security company of my friend. And this friend of mine is from Mamelodi. He's got a very big security company, and it's Matlala that is in charge. And I said, no. Well, I stayed in Pretoria. I've never paid attention of the security companies like that one. And he says, no, this guy is big. There's a lot of police officers that are working for his security company and so forth. He has just got a contract in Lesotho. So he wants me to go and run his project in Lesotho. So this is Nona talking to me. So I then discouraged him from resigning. I said, but you are left with 2 years before you go on retirement. If this is your friend, why don't you retire after 2 years? And thereafter, you then go and work for him. Remember, I don't know who this Matlala person is. And then he took that advice and he said later afterwards, said, hey, no, I took advice. I think I must wait until 2 years is over. But fast forward to that. A kidnapping case is reported of Kwatuguza. And a Muslim guy is kidnapped from the mosque and he disappears and nobody traces him. They don't know where he's whereabouts. Such cases are handled by DPCI. So DPCI is involved. The team of DPCI has some members, technical team from the province, which is TRT, that works with them. And some dog unit members, flying squad, they will form a team. But it is DPCI that deals with it. And these other members will just be in support. So then they say to me that there's an incident that has happened where the family was called and the ransom demanded. The family was called from a number in South Beach in Durban, next to the beachfront. When the team followed up, they discovered that a person bought airtime and loaded it on the phone and made a phone call. And they could identify the person that went to buy airtime on cameras, and they followed that person. And the person said, the person who gave me asked me to go and buy airtime, gave me 50 rands as a payment. So the person was paid 50 rand to go and buy airtime from the tuck shop and give it to this person. And this person was sitting in the car, and the car was parked in this place. So the team followed that car. They discovered that it's a bakkie, a white bakkie with no number plate. So they started following the movement of that car through cameras in the assistance of security companies in KZN, because they're very good with these cameras they put out there. They have the team to trace the movements of this car. So until the car disappeared in the area of Mayville, Katomeno side, they couldn't locate it. So then they went back to check all the other cameras in Durban to look for this car, if there's somewhere the car was picked up early in the day or afterwards. So they picked up the car, stopped at the shop somewhere. And this individual got out of the car, they entered that shop. So they went to that shop and they downloaded the footage and they identified two gentlemen in that footage that came from that bakkie. And one of the people they identified was Mr. Nangi, which was well known from the police as one of the high profile wanted person on kidnapping in Mozambique. So that's immediately the team knew that means it's Nangi that is behind the kidnapping. And Nangi lives in Gauteng. So they went to trace the movement of the car at Marankin tollgate and all the other tollgates on the entry. They discovered that indeed this car had drove past there. And Nangi was driving, and he would be one passing the tollgate and paying. And they were easily, because I would identify, I would ask them, why you say you identify that it's Nangi? So he's got a funny eye. I don't know how his eye is like, but that's what draws attention on the team. So the team then moved to Gauteng. From what they are briefing me, they're updating me, but it's not my case. They arrive in Gauteng, they trace this information in Gauteng, they found Nangi, and they downloaded, took his phone and they opened his phone. In his phone, they found, which was a shocking thing, a person whom yesterday Sergeant Nkosi presented before the Matlala Commission to be known as an expert in kidnappings. Nkosi spoke about him yesterday. They found a communication between Nangi and this gentleman. And in actual fact, money transfers between Nangi and this gentleman, 300, 200,000 rand, a lot of money. And to the team, they were shocked and said, but the person is known as a private investigator dealing with kidnappings. How does he have a relationship with Nangi, who's known to be a kingpin in kidnapping? It could be that the person who's a private investigator is linked to Nangi. Because if you go back, honorable chair members, and check, majority, 90% of the time, Well, this is a 90% I can talk about, maybe not the one of Jara Kumalo that you were fighting with them about. Majority of the people that are kidnapped are Muslim people. Majority of them, because they've got cash in their shops. And almost 100%, majority of the time, more than 90% of the time, there's a lump sum paid before they are released. And the person who's part of the negotiation is so-called expert investigator, private investigator, will always encourage the family to pay a certain amount. Not the full 20 million rands they're looking for, maybe half of it, but there's always payment. So here's this person who's known to be the lead expert in kidnapping, is exchanging money with Nangi. The team got worried and they said, it means we have an enemy within because this gentleman is this tight with the General Khan and the team that deals with kidnapping. Is this tied with Jarasmia, who's in charge of the investigation in the police? This gentleman. I'm talking about the private person. So the team picks that one up and say, there's something not right, doesn't add up here. As they were interrogating, I don't know the how part, they discovered that the kidnapped individual is kept in a house in Mpumalanga. They traveled to Mpumalanga. They arrived in Mpumalanga in a particular house, and there was no one there. And when they engaged with the community around, the community said, we've been suspecting something dodgy happening in this house. But before you arrive, there were a lot of movement, cars that drove out with speed, and they left the place. And the owner of the house is the sergeant, the police sergeant. And this police sergeant stays in another house somewhere. And they directed the police to the next house. So the police moved with speed because they're looking for a kidnapped person. They went to the next house. When they arrived in the next house, they were told, this gentleman has gone to Mozambique. He has crossed with the person that's kidnapped to Mozambique. And the team then engaged with the people in Mozambique and say, looks like there's someone there in Mozambique that has crossed with the person that is kidnapped. So, and I heard there was a talk of, when you were sitting here, he was talking about the video that was available. There is a video available of a shop close by that shows police cars coming to the property and the police cars leaving the property. And later, the community is all over the place there. And later, the house is on fire. And the medical people come in to attend to that house. The video is there. Yeah, they're not just property. The house that was identified initially as a place where this one was kept. So his story on a confession that Molotra made when the police got him confirms this arrangement with Nangi. But Molotra then is found, eventually is brought back into South Africa. The How Party, remember, I'm not involved in this. And is taken with Nangi and everyone else. The team transport them to Devon for the case at Kwatuguze. But what I don't know what happened in that case, because the DPP contacted me and said, this team that was investigating this case, they messed up this case. And the DPP wrote a complaint via the NDPP to the PCI for disciplinary steps to be instituted against these members that were working on this investigation. So that's how the case was withdrawn from court. And this Nangi and this Molotra guy left. They were released because of that. So that's how the Nangi story comes about. Well, obviously, internal, the organization will have investigated.
Just the pause there, General. The Nangi story, you can deal with it maybe a little later. That's not gone yet because there's now...
It's gone. It's coming back into why Snona. Yeah, we end up talking to Kat about it. So remember, it said Kat, Snona talked about Kat when Snona wanted to resign, to join Kat. Then subsequently, there's this incident of kidnapping. There's the incident of a case not being finalized that involved Mlodra. And eventually, after they are released, there's a case open in Johannesburg by Nangi and Mlodra team. They open a case of stealing of Rolex watches and many other torture, amongst others, many other things. It's registered in Joburg. I have no clue because I'm not part of it. Sinona comes to me. And he says to me, General, there's a case open against my team. Remember, it's his team. It is DPCI's team. He said, there's a case open in Joburg against my team. And the case is opened by Nangi and the people that are with him. And I took note. I said, oh, well, what is the case about? He said, no, torture and all those things. And I said, but was he tortured? Were they tortured, these people? And he said to me, no, they were tortured in Mozambique. This guy, when he was arrested in Mozambique, was tortured and so forth. But Snona sounded like he was not even part of the team. When the team was doing all this movement, he was not there. But I know today he's also facing a disciplinary case. I don't know why is he facing a disciplinary case, but I'm not part of it. But he tells me this thing. He said, there's a case open in Joburg. Unfortunately, you, Jerome Kwanas, you're one of the accused in that case. So when I asked him, why am I accused on a case that I don't know? He said, no, they're alleging that we're part of this. So I just laughed it off. I said, it's one of many other cases that will be thrown on me. Maybe someone influenced that. I'm not going, well, I guess if it's there involving the police, IPIT will investigate like many other cases. So we end there with Snona. Few weeks later, Snona speaks to me again, face to face, and he says to me, General, I found someone to help withdraw that case against my team. So then I asked him, but when you say you found someone to help withdraw the case, how is this person withdrawing the case? He said, no, this person spoke to one of the complainants. So I asked, who is this person? And he said, Vusmus Matlala. Now I already know the name Cat. And I said, but okay, you said you found him. How did you find him? So now I was with him in Gauteng, and I told him that there is a Nangi guy that is opening a case against my team. And Cat took the phone, he called Nangi. This is what Snona tells me. That Cat took the phone and he calls Nangi. And he told Nangi that, hey, don't get involved in this case. Why did you open a case? And Nangi said to him, it is Jarasbia that influenced him to open a case. But otherwise, he's no longer going to participate. Now, IPIT must come and explain. Since the case was registered, a year later, nobody's ever come to me. What is happening on that case? Could it be that the main complainant on the case did not want to cooperate anymore with the investigation? If that's the case, he's going to check out on what Snona told me that he was told by Cat. Because that means Cat influenced that Nangi not to participate in the case at the time. I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect Nangi is the main complainant. Perhaps that's why Mlota was brought by Adams here to become a complainant on a similar case here in Cape Town. But I'm not on that. I'm just saying that's how the Nangi name came into the picture. It is Cat that tells, it is Snona that talks to Cat about Nangi to drop the charge. So that's what got me more interested to ask more about the relationship between Snona and this Cat guy. So when I asked him, I said, but you wanted to resign to join his company, and now we are telling me that he's helping you to stop the investigation. How do you know this guy? Then Snona says, we grew up together. We were playing soccer together. Then I remember I said, but you said Cat stays in Mamelodi and you are from Soshanguve. How did you grow up together? This township are far apart. He said, no, we're playing soccer together. That's how we know each other. Remember the time, I don't know the age of Cat. I don't even know how old he is. He's just telling me about they grew up together and that's how they got to know each other. So I had no reason not to believe him. So I said, so he's your brother, eh? Is that close to you? He said, no, he's my brother. Then I started saying to him, but there's investigation happening in Gauteng where this Cat is got issues that are questionable about him. So you sure you're not part of the wrong? He said, no. Cat is, I know him as a clean guy, he's my brother. Even if you check the phone communication between me and him, we are brothers. So I had no reason not to believe the head of the Hawks in KZN when he tells me this, that Cat is just a brother. I finished the conversation, I talked to Kumala, I said, Snona has this close relationship with Cat. Maybe when we check the downloads of Cat, we must run the Snona's phone and see if there's any communication between them. So that's how the extract of the communication and the relationship between Cat and Snona was discovered, because it's Snona that disclosed the relationship between him and Cat. Fast forward from there, Snona comes to me and he says, hey, you remember the guy I told you about, Cat Matlala? I said, yeah. He said, that guy's got a contract in the police of health contract. But he's struggling because police are not placing orders. Now he wants to reach out to talk to the end user, which is Jaran. And when they establish the people that can link him with Jaran, they discover that you're the one of our entire management of the SAPS, you're the one that is closest to Jaran. Can you arrange a meeting? So now I said to Snona, but why must I arrange a meeting for Kat Matlala and Jaron Hua for what reason? And he says, no, but looks like Kat has an information that can assist Kumalo and the team with their investigation in Gauteng. So that what drew my attention, and I said, but he's got information. What information? He said, no, the role that's be a place in this whole criminality happening in Gauteng. So that got me excited. And I said, okay, well, we'll confirm the meeting. From there, I then contacted Jaro Kumalo. I said, Jaro Kumalo, this is what I'm aware of. Must we have this meeting? So we agreed, no, let's have the meeting. But let's control the venue where the meeting is. And let's wire the place so that you can record everything happening in the meeting. Hence the flat. That we had to discard, get the flat, a place where we can go in, nobody can trace us. Anything happening there can be on record. I was hoping the day that Kat is going to say he gave me money, because I was going to come and show you that there was never anything handed. I'm glad he didn't, because there was nothing. So the meeting then is arranged, and I go back to Snow and I said, tell him to come. Then Jaro Snona invite him to come. And I said to Snona, I know this guy moves around with bodyguards. When he comes to see me, he must be alone and you, just the two of you, nobody else. So you're going to pick him up, or you pick him up, you're going to bring him to me. Then he said, okay, we're going to meet at Mhlanga. The meeting is going to be around Mhlanga. They met at the hotel. Mr. Adams is not here. I'm sure he's watching at home. Oyster Box. Oyster Box is a very expensive hotel in Durban. That is where they met. Kat and Snona. Whether inside the hotel or at the parking, I was not there, but they met at the hotel. Because after that, Snona, first time I saw Snona driving a Polo car. You know, this one is driven by these Uber boys, the small car, VW. Snona was driving that car. He called me, he said, I'm with Kat, we're driving this Polo, we are getting out of Oyster Box. So I said, okay, come up because I'm in the vicinity. He gave me a description of the car. I spotted the car. Then I said, okay, I see I'm driving this car in front of you, the Mercedes-Benz. Can you see it? He said, yeah, no, we can see it. I said, okay, follow me. So I drove them down towards Pavilion, not Beverly Hills Hotel, around into Pels. There's a parking at the bottom there for those that know Mhlanga, towards the beach. So we enter in there, into the boom gate. I show my face, the boom gate opens. I go in, I tell the security to open for him. They open for them, and they followed me. Some 50 meters, we park, we walk, we get out of the cars, we walk into the lift, into your apartment. Honorable Chair, that apartment from where we're seated in a 3-seater dining room table, a glass table, can only see 3 people. Where I'm sitting, at least a meter, is the wall. Behind me, a meter, it's another wall. On this side, it's a lounge that will be at least maybe about where Honorable Skosana is seated. That's where the TV is. And on that corner, on that side, which is a good 4 meters or so, is an entrance into the apartment. And on my right, open plan, Honorable Chair, up to where the podium is, which roughly about 4 meters or so, is the sink at the end of the kitchen. So for Snona to say he was busy drinking somewhere, he couldn't hear anything. When we are here, you're talking, a person on TV, a person here can hear everything. It's just the 3 of us, nobody else there. So we said, we spoke. That's when he then gave me this information. The information is about Steve Mutsume. Steve Mutsume is a name that the 68 million people, excluding the independent podcasters, they are the ones that got guts to talk about Steve Mutsume. The rest of media houses in South Africa don't want to research about that person. It's a name that has come out so many times, Steve Mutsume. He told me about Steve Mutsume. He gave me the address of the house of Steve Mutsume. He told me about activities of Spear, how the Spear is collecting money. He told me about the property of Spear that I didn't know. He gave me the address. He told me about the Impalas he bought for Spear. This is all coming from Kat voluntarily. I don't have a clue about all these things. The properties in a townhouse in Sentin. So I take note of all these things. And then he asked one thing, but the other one was just a comment which we couldn't do much about it. The first one was, I've got this contract. I've got so many people that I should be paying that I haven't paid, but the police not placing an order. can you get General Hua to meet up with me so we can discuss and get to hear what is the issue? Then I said, well, I'll talk to General Hua, but I don't know anything about the contract, but I'll talk to her. The feedback will come to Snon. That is one. Two, what is the next thing? The next thing is that I hear that there's investigation in Gauteng on an attempted murder of his ex-girlfriend. What is happening on that? I said, no, don't ask me that question. I'm not in Gauteng, I'm here. I can't even answer any question. If you have issues with it, Gerald Snona is your brother, must talk to Gerald Kumalo and establish what is the issue there. That's how the meeting ended. We left. After leaving, I pick up the phone, I call General Kumalo. I said, Gerald Kumalo, this is information. Here's the address of Mr. Mutsumi. Mr. Mutsumi has got a house, standalone house somewhere in Sentin. I just don't know the address now with which I can say, but from the American High Commission in Sentin, for those that know Sentin, if we drive down towards the western side, but we go down the road, Steve Mutsume's house is there. The one that he alleges to be Steve Mutsume's, a very big house, is there. Because I saw it on Google. He came in and said, that's a house where Sbia collects money. Because I was not satisfied with the information about Sbia, he says Sbia collects money there, but using the police vehicle and the police driver. And mine to him was, Sbia cannot be arrested then, because when you arrest him, he's going to say the money belongs to a driver, not to him. But if he uses a police car to go there, we'll be able to get that on investigation. We need more information about Sbia. He said, no, he paid 2 million rand towards his plot. He bought him Impalas. All the Impala stories came with me, but nobody asked, how do I come up with Impala stories? It's because of that meeting. When I spoke about these Impalas, I just did not elaborate where I got the stories of the Impalas in details. But the Impalas come with Cat. The townhouse. Cat says he didn't even know about the townhouse himself. But another foreigner told him about the townhouse. He went to see the townhouse. He saw Sbia's cars there. He confirmed, but Cat did not know about the townhouse. So he told me all these stories about Sbia, Steve Mutsumi, and that fact that Steve Mutsumi's property is at Waterfall Estate in Midrand. I've never been to Waterfall Estate.
Can we hear Honorable Sangon?
Thank you, Chair. No, I just wanted us to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Adams. I think Honorable Adams left the TV so he could be here himself. Thank you, Chair.
General Mukwanas.
Yes, sir.
Behind Honorable Skosana. Behind Honorable Skosana is seated Honorable Adams.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. At least I see him now. I can talk directly.
I was going to ask a question. Mr. Mutsumi, is he also alleged to be one of the Big Five?
I had said, Honorable Chair, with respect, Councillor, as a legal person, you'll know that we cannot, as police, pronounce of people that are not before court. But it's a character that the police officers are afraid to even call his name. It's a character that even the judge at the Matlala Commission was concerned about the police being so afraid. It's a person that I spoke this morning to Sergeant Kosi, who was sending the communication between me and him to the very same person. So Steve Mutsumi is such a character. I'll leave it there. I don't want to go into details. You can read between the lines.
Yeah. Now, when Mr. Matlala conveyed the fact that there was this meeting that's now a fact that took place between you and him at the Pearl's apartment, his evidence was that he was going to the meeting, brokered by Sonono, but it was going to be in exchange for information that he would give you. You were particularly keen or interested in hearing information about Lieutenant General Sabia, and in return, the quid pro quo for him that motivated him to go to that meeting was that you would assist him with the Medicare contract, which was now being stalled because he wasn't getting any purchase orders. And you, the one who knows Lieutenant General Nkua, who's in charge of the supply chain management.
Yeah, well,
No, that sounds quite plausible, even from what you're telling us.
yeah, well, he was frustrated with the contract. That's why he approached Nona. But if my memory serves me well, it does not say that it's Nona that arranged the meeting. He says it's General Clearly. That's a lie
Yeah,
that he told. He wanted to protect Nona, but it's Nona that facilitated the meeting. So the meeting was held as per his request. Obvious when the meeting was held is because I'd already spoken to Kumalo about the investigation they're busy with and the purpose of what the meeting is all about. So the meeting is then held. I said he then, after sharing this information about Sbia and Steve Mutsumi, he then tells me about his contract that he wants to take Jaron Hua. I said, I'll talk to Jaron Hua, but the feedback I'll give it to Snona because I don't know you. I'm not going to talk to you. That's one. Two, I had said to both of them, Snona and Kurt, that the information you're giving me about Sbia, I don't think is sufficient enough to get Sbia arrested. Yes, we're going to investigate the issue of the impalas that you paid for him, but the least can ever happen if we don't have any criminal linkage is that maybe he didn't declare that at workplace. It can only be a departmental thing because he will have received it as a gift. If you have contributed 2 million rand to his property when he bought his property, and again, is it a loan or what is it between the two of them? So the information you're giving me is not strong enough to say Sbia has done these criminal activities. But he kept on saying, Sbia is a dangerous man. He controls a lot of things there, investigations and the likes. But I wanted something tangible. Then he says, no, well, we'll arrange something tangible to give it to you. Then I said, but don't give it to me, give it to Kumalo because the investigation is in Gauteng. And I can tell you, Honorable Chair, that subsequent to that meeting, after giving feedback to Jaro Kumalo, Snona made a contact with Jaro Kumalo, and Snona sent one of the TPCI members to go and give a statement to Jaro Kumalo and the team about the corruption that Jaro Sibia is involved with. And Jaro Kumalo can attest to that because the statement was given subsequent to that meeting. So that's what I'm trying to explain, how this, me getting to know Kat existence, the story about Nangi, and the meeting with Kat, the purpose of the meeting and the outcome of the meeting, where the meeting was held, all that, I wouldn't have came here and said, Kat told me A to Z, because I was going to be putting his life in danger. I was going to be compromising the very same investigations that are happening. So I did not invite him. He asked to meet me, and Jaron Hua did talk to her about that. She can attest to that, and it ended there.
Is it quite normal or is it usual for a person in your position or perhaps any police officer investigating a case to meet with someone who's either known or is suspected to be involved in criminal activities, especially the ones seriously alleged about Matlala, in exchange for information? Because by now, before that April meeting, you must have known there were articles about him in the News 24. There were issues around in fact, this very tender where he is seeking you perhaps to intervene and to assist.
In meeting Kat, was Kat coming to give information that is going to assist with the investigation in Pretoria or in Gauteng specific. So a police officer will meet a person who's providing information, not meeting Kat to socialize and party. I'm meeting Kat because he wants to come and give information. So I've met a lot of people that are, some of them in custody, arrested, and some of them not arrested yet. Some of the people come up front and say, I was part of a crime. I'm here to give you the facts. And they give facts and they incriminate themselves, and we take it to the prosecution, and there's negotiations done, there's less sentences and so forth. So that is part of the investigation. That's why I'm saying that investigation is not in KZN. So when Snona approaches me with that information, I paused him and I said, I don't deal with things here in KZN of Kat. All these investigation of Kat and Gauteng. So let me first verify with a person in Gauteng. That's why I engage with Jaro Kumalo and the team. When they say it's fine, I can meet him, that's when I confirm to meet him. Otherwise, I was not going to meet him because I was not going to do anything with the information that he was giving.
Just to round off on this aspect, what is it that you want to highlight in this WhatsApp exchange with Sonona?
What then happened, Honorable Chair and members, is that last year I'm attending an Interpol conference in Morocco. While I'm in the conference, I received a communication that Kat Matlala is talking about the meeting me and him had in Paris, in Devon. And for me, I was shocked to say this is a person who was snitching to his own people, but he's the one who's introducing the meeting. So I found it interesting. But because I don't communicate with Kat, I then communicate with the person that brought Kat to me. I phoned Jarosno. Jarosno didn't answer the phone. I called again, he didn't answer the phone. I then called Jarakumar, because remember, Jarakumar knows about this. I phoned Jarakumar, I said, hey, I'm trying to reach Sonona because I'm told Kat is talking about the meeting we had, although he's twisting what the purpose of the meeting was, but he's talking about the meeting that we had. And Kumala then says to me, he just laughed it off. He said, you know what? I don't think Sonona is going to answer because Nona is scheduled and then he was going to get caught. I don't know how he came to know. Maybe the media had communicated it. Nona is scheduled to appear before the Matlala Commission on the same day that Kat Matlala is supposed to appear before this commission, this committee. So which means the two of them will have most likely spoken against each other if both of them were in these two committees simultaneously. So Nona might have thought, let me excuse myself at the Matlala Commission so I can listen to this one. So he was excused at Matlala Commission. That's why he did not present last year. He only went there this year. So when I call him, he's not answering. Then Kumala says perhaps he's not answering because he knows what his friend is talking about in prison. So then I thought, okay, if they're going to try and make up the story, let me write something to him so that he can be on record. I wrote him a WhatsApp message. And I told him about how he used to tell me about Kat, how he knows Kat, how he facilitated the meeting, what was discussed in the meeting, how he exposed his syndicates that he operates with, including Jarosbia, in that meeting. But then I closed my message by saying, I'm still going to go to the auto committee and I'm going to come and present this thing on record. I left him like that. Today, Jarosno, who's my colleague, who works in the same building with me, who talks to me anytime he wants to, has never called me, has never walked into my office, has never confronted me about that call and the message I sent him. Until in January, when it was a week or two before he goes to the Matlala Commission.
And then his lawyers, and this letter is in the exhibit bundle. There's a letter that his lawyers write to you on the 9th of January. It appears as if the meeting was also recorded.
The lawyers write.
Have you got the letter?
Yes, I do have. Yeah. Well, I know what I wrote there without even having to worry, but it's part of the exhibits.
Or maybe just while you're looking to find it, this is from Rudolph Beloy Inc. We act for Major General Lesecha Sonona. It's dated 9 January. We refer to the WhatsApp communication on 26 November 2025, which you addressed to Major General Sonona, wherein you claim to be in possession of a recording of a meeting held between Lieutenant General Kwanazi and Usumuzi Kat Matlala on 15 April 2025 at the Pearls Hotel in Umhlanga. Our client accompanied Mr. Matlala to the meeting. They also attach a copy of the WhatsApp communication. The WhatsApp communication came after Mr. Matlala's appearance and testimony at Parliament's ad hoc committee to investigate allegations made by Lieutenant General Shlanshlan Kunazi on 26 November. Major General Sonona considers the tone and content of the WhatsApp communication to be threatening and intimidating. In the said communication, you state that Mr. Matlala, by disclosing the meeting of 15 April at the ad hoc, invited you to make the recording public, and that in so doing it will put Mr. Matlala's life at risk. In the course of consulting with and preparing our client's response to the Matlala Commission, I'm just stating it briefly, Rule 33 notice dated 9 October 2025, It became apparent that the recording you allege to be in possession of is essential to Major General Sinona for the purposes of finalizing his response to the Matlala Commission, which is due on 16 January 2026. In the circumstance where we hereby instructed to demand, we hereby do that you furnish the office with a copy of the alleged recording between the meeting between yourself and Mr. Matlala on or before the 13th of January.
Yeah, no, that is correct. The lawyers on the 9th of January wrote me this letter. What I'm grateful for is that they had attached the WhatsApp that I wrote to Gerald Sinona. Honorable Chair, when I wrote, after writing this WhatsApp, I forwarded the same WhatsApp to the Senior Council for record, so that the Senior Council is aware of what's developing. And I think it will have happened when someone was I don't know what case was, or was during Matlala's time, I don't know. But I did send it.
Yeah, it was while we were at Hosimapur.
Hosimapur, yeah, I did send this WhatsApp. In this WhatsApp, Honorable Chair and members, without having to repeat everything that is written here, what is of an interest on the WhatsApp, if I were to summarize, is what I said earlier. The information that Kat Matlala was giving me about Mutsumi, Steve Mutsumi. I still don't know how the name surname is written, but the pronunciation, it says that Steve Mutsumi and Jairus Beer, and the property in Sentin somewhere, or properties, and the property in Waterfall Estate, and the property in Centurion, and the Imbalas, and everything else. This is information coming from Kat Matlala in the presence of Jairus Sinona, his brother. They are sharing this information to me. After writing this, Sinona had never confronted me about it until the lawyer sent me this. And the lawyers, if the honorable members were to check, they are not interested in disputing the content of this. The lawyer's interest is to finding out whether do I have this recording that I say I have. They're interested in the recording. They want to find the recording. I did not respond. In me not responding to them, Jairus Sinona then goes to the Matlala Commission. He says he was drinking during the meeting. I had invited the Matlala Commission to go to the same pairs to go and investigate what time did we come in, what time did we leave, what will have got Sinona drunk. He was driving a car coming in, for him not to hear what he's talking about. Inspection in local to be done in that apartment, so you can be able to see how far is this kitchen that Sinona said he kept going down, up and down, where he couldn't hear, because I've demonstrated how big the place is, or how small the place is. So what was interesting for me is that when Sinona, after writing this thing, he copied the Matlala Commission, which was a good thing for me. I had not presented to them because we did not discuss it there. I presented to the SC because Kat Matlala spoke about it here. So when the Matlala Commission became aware of this, they contacted me about this, and they had to lead Sinona on his testimony at Matlala Commission, which include this WhatsApp. When it was time for Sinona to read out the names of the people that they were snitching on, him and Kat Matlala, he refused. He was afraid. His lawyer said, you can Google it and go back on the record of Matlala Commission. His lawyer said, these people are very dangerous. That Sinona cannot read out their names. One of the very dangerous people in this message is Gerald Beer. These are words from Gerald Sinona with his lawyer, that he cannot read out his name. I'm the author of the WhatsApp. His was only to read the WhatsApp, because he did not write it. I wrote it. But because he knows the content that is the fact, he's afraid to read out the names, because this Mutsume is going to know that Sinona and Kat, they were snitching on him. Therefore, he might have to deal with him somehow. That was the only reason that made Sinona be afraid to read. That took the judge at the Matlala Commission to overrule and forced him to read the names. So he read the names under duress before the Matlala Commission. So, honorable members, this is a clear indication that the content of what is discussed at PERS, I put it on the WhatsApp that will be read by Sinona, and Sinona was afraid to read them. If he didn't know Mutsome, if he didn't know how dangerous beer is, what would have made him to be afraid to read this? Because this was the actual fact of what we discussed on the day. So that's what I was giving it to him, that he must not lie before the commission, because that's what the meeting is about. In actual fact, I preface this WhatsApp by saying, if I were to quote, you made arrangement that I meet this guy, Kat, because he's your friend and brother, and he needed my help to speak to Jaron Hua to place orders on his contract. I don't hide that. It's there because that was a main thing that he wanted to come to me. And then he volunteered an information about a house in Sentin, where SBIA collects money using the state vehicle, and that he, Kat, paid over 2 million rand towards SBIA's purchase of a plot. And he also told me about CBIA's townhouse. The fact that he's the one who introduced this meeting at the committee. So I go on and say, he invites me to come and make this information available before this committee. And he therefore must not accuse me. That's what I say on the almost another paragraph. I hope you won't blame me for risking his life because I have to tell the truth about our meeting. I was well aware when they were giving me this information that they were snitching on their crew. And one of their crews, it's Gerald Sibia and Steve Mutsumi. They were snitching on them. And that's why he was afraid to read these two names on record before the country watching. Well, he's not the only one. We had even the judge made remarks, being worried because another Shibiri who works under Sibia was afraid to read another name before the Matlala Commission. That tells you that there are powerful people out there that they've been feared by the top generals in the police. That's why the judge even was concerned about it, that if the generals are afraid, who then is going to protect the citizens? So this is a background behind why I had to write this. It was because I wanted to put on record clear that what Matlala was presenting before you was not the facts. These were the facts. Kumalo, subsequent to this meeting, will show you the affidavit and the member that was sent by SBIA and the communication between Kumalo and SBIA after this meeting as a follow-up and a further information out of this meeting that was provided. I'm not privy to that. I don't have the details about, but I know they met and they provided further information in this regard. So that's all about the meeting at PALS that I might want to explain, and not unless any further questions.
These allegations, especially the ones against Sabia, have they been followed up? They've been investigated? Why is he not? He's under suspension. That's his current status, is it?
The jurisdiction, almost everything that is presented to me, I said this, what information was going to bring me are activities happening in Gauteng. So the people that I know they are part of that investigation is that Gauteng organized crime investigation team, the counter investigation team that is in Gauteng. So this information must go to them for further investigation. So if I get information, I'll only share with them. So the details of what are they, how far are they with the investigation, I think they're in a better position to come and present. I'm in KZN, I can tell you, Honorable Chair members, that 200 million rand worth of drugs were lost in KZN. And that worried me. But that case docket is with DPCI at the national office also. But on my own digging on the side, I've discovered things. That's why I'm engaging with the DPP about it. Which unfortunately seems to link the very same characters we're talking about in Gauteng.
Just talking about drugs getting lost while we have the benefit of having you here. There was also, and your reference to Honorable Adams, there's also, do you know of a Cape Town case where there was also seizure of a substantial, I'm not sure what the amount was, maybe over 200 million of drugs, hard drugs, I think Mandrex, seized. But when he made further inquiries about the matter, it appeared as if the drugs were gone, they were lost. And the only inference that he can draw is that those drugs are now out on the street, and they've been put on the street by dishonest SAPS members.
Honorable Chair,
Maybe you can help us with what's
Honorable
happening.
Chair, I'm not in Western Cape, so I will not necessarily have the details, but in having listened and watched this commission on television, the Honorable Mr. Adams, when he presented here, when he was asked the question, how did he know about it? He said he was told. So the moment the person says that, but is 100% sure this what happened, it is questionable. What I said before, and I'm going to say again, South Africans must know, you must know, that drugs in the main that are found in crime scene, me as a provincial commissioner, I cannot guarantee 100% that entire consignment that is found in a crime scene is the same consignment that lands at forensic. It's the same consignment that is destroyed. Firearms are found in crime scene. On register, they are destroyed, but the police find the same firearm in another crime scene. So if it can happen with guns, the likelihood is that it can happen with drugs. The belief, the intelligence we get is that the information at hand, the honorable members that are within the police committee can tell you, the police does not test 100% of the consignment we get in our forensic. We don't.
Do you share the view of Lieutenant General Kumalo that some 90% of SAPS officers in Gauteng are on some or other payroll of these drug syndicates?
I might not talk about the percentage, but what I can talk about, Honorable Chair and members, that I've said before, we have three categories of employees in the organization. We have the hardworking ones that are straight to the point in the fighting crime. We have the corrupt one in the opposite that are participating in the wrong. And we have the missing middle who don't want to act and just turn a blind eye on what is happening, the lazy ones. So some of them are influenced by fear and for them not to act. So if you fail to act where you're supposed to act as a police officer, you're as good as a bad one. So those are categories of employees we have. I don't have the figures. I cannot talk about percentages, 90% and so forth. But by and large, the biggest problem of wrong that is done by the South African Police Service in the country, you'll find it in all provinces, but mainly we'll find it in Gauteng. And mainly you'll find it in the borders. The border police, good percentage of the members working there, they're not good. A big percentage, I won't put the number. In Gauteng province, majority of the members that are working there are not necessarily doing good things. But I'm the one that came here and said, 2 junior members, sergeants, they started this chaos, if we call it a chaos, but they uncovered these problems that we've been talking about in Gauteng. Those are the 2 members that invited General Kumalo to join them and his team. It's those 2 members that led into other detectives and other members to join them. Those 2 members that led me in KZN to become involved. Unfortunately, they are still sergeants. Despite all that, they are still remain sergeants. They are still not sleeping at home. They are in Gauteng. So we can't say the entire Gauteng is bad. And we can't say the entire Gauteng is good. We must accept that we have quite a lot of bad apples amongst us.
Yeah, General Matlala yesterday described it as perhaps as an exaggeration, but he also said that as far as he was concerned, most of the police officers are honest and hardworking. But he also added another category, the missing middle.
I gave you 3 categories. Not all of them are hardworking.
Yeah.
A good percentage, yes, but there's also a good percentage not. So to what percentage it is between the 2, I cannot tell. But I know, and I'm going to demonstrate here in these next few hours about the connections that Mr. Adams has that led into him finding himself in prison in KZN to come and give you a statement from an arrested person. It's a testimony that's coming. That's a bad thing in KZN.
Yeah. Now, if we can just go to the briefing of the 6th of July, and you've got the memorandum which we also made available to the committee during the press briefing, you made